And welcome to Honestly Book Reviews. This is the channel where we review Christian books and content. Welcome to the channel. My name is Jared, and today we have a very special episode. We have a UK pastor that was jailed. We have words of encouragement from Victor Glover from the Artemis II mission, and we have Paula White doing controversial things as usual. So let's review it. And starting off here, we have Pastor Dia Moodley, a 58-year-old man who was jailed for preaching the gospel in the UK. He was jailed in November 2025 for 8 hours for preaching the gospel. They said he was inciting religious hatred, because there's a lot of Muslims in this downtown city square. I believe it was in Bristol. So they say he was basically targeting Muslims because the message that he was sharing. Now the UK does have free speech laws, but they're not like the American free speech laws. It's not like it's a First Amendment right. They have all sorts of weird sort of laws that govern speech, but they still have considered free speech. It's very unique, and they have what's called the PSPO, Public Space Protection Orders, which basically allows the UK government to circumvent the freedom of speech and arrest people on charges of their reciting religious hatred or any sort of causing divisions or something like that along those lines. And as you see here, this is Pastor Dia Moodley, excuse me. He's been preaching the gospel since 2019, and he says, "I didn't target anyone with my speech." He explained, "I merely preached the gospel to all people out of love for God and my neighbor. For the police to suggest that God cannot do this in areas where Muslims are present, it's a very dangerous precedent for freedom of speech." And I agree with that assessment as well. So we need to. This is the second time he's been arrested for preaching the gospel in the streets, and he's even been assaulted. He's even assaulted back in March, I believe, for preaching the gospel by a Muslim man, but he was never charged. So we need to pray for a pastor. Pray for him. What does the Bible say about this? The 1 Corinthians 9:16. So for though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe is me, woe is unto me, if I preach not the gospel. That's Paul. So very strong words there. And also if we go to 2 Timothy 4:5. But watch thou in all things, and during afflictions, do the work of evangelists. Make proof of thy ministry. So not everybody is called to be an evangelist. That's Ephesians 4:11. We have some preachers and teachers and evangelists, apostles and prophets, but we're all called to do the work of evangelists. We're all called to preach the gospel to as many people as possible. So that's a very important thing there. And moving on to the next, we have the Artemis II crew mission. This is Victor Glover. Victor Glover is 49 years old. He became an astronaut in 2013. He's a former Navy pilot. And regardless of what you think about his beliefs, his stance, his doctrinal stance, whatnot, you gotta be cognizant that God places people in unique situations. You all have a unique situation that you're in. You all have people that only you can reach, essentially, and that's what God wants. What God's doing with this astronaut here. He's basically using him to preach the gospel to his fellow astronauts and also the world as well. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Christ said in response to what was the greatest command, that it was to love God with all that you are. And he also, being a great teacher, said the second is equal to it, and that is to love your neighbor as yourself. And to all of you down there on earth, we love you from the moon. No matter your faith or religion, for me, the teachings of Jesus were always a very simple truth of love, universal love. Love yourself and love others. And something for us being up here and looking back at all of you through one tiny window is that just resonates 100% true. And our goal as humanity should be to just follow in that example. There were many examples in the past, but that's one example of love that we can just all follow in those footsteps, and it'll serve us well.
And as we are so far from earth and looking back at the beauty of creation, I think for me one of the really important personal perspectives that I have up here is I can really see earth as one thing. And when I read the Bible and I look at all of the amazing things that were done for us who were created, you have this amazing place, this spaceship. You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth, but you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos. Maybe the distance we are from you makes you think what we're doing is special, but we're the same distance from you. And I'm trying to tell you, just trust me, you are special.
You are special. That's very good words from Victor right there. Really, I'm proud that he's actually. I'm not pride, but it's more something that's filled with joy to know that there are people out there willing to preach the gospel regardless of their circumstances, regardless of their platform, or using this platform for to tell the world that Jesus Christ is Lord. So, uh, kudos to him. And finally, we have the White House Faith Office hosts over 100 pastors as well as missionaries from the Buddhist community. This is a strange story because it's sort of like, well, this is Paula White's is the head of the Office of Faith. He appointed her as the lead director, and I believe Jenny Korn is the assistant director. But Paul White's been in the Christian news circles for quite some time. She's been preaching the prosperity gospel for decades. It seems like at this point it's been so long, and this is a strange story. Where why can't you just have the 100 pastors be there and just have this 100 pastors get together as a time of unity and preaching the gospel and devising strategy? Why do we have to have the Buddhist community as well invited to the same platform? It just seems a little bit odd, and just very strange, very strange. It's almost like we're tolerating this toleration thing again. Where we're just we're allowing other faiths to sort of dictate that we should just basically stay in a box and sort of stay in our box and just not be able to bother anybody else because we might be afraid we're going to offend somebody because we're preaching the gospel to somebody. And listen, when we're preaching the gospel to people, we got to recognize that even when we're planting seeds, and when you're planting a seed, before you can even plant the seed, you have to pierce the soil with a tool to get that seed in there. So it's gonna hurt when we're preaching the gospel. It's gonna be some salt in the wound there. We're talking about iniquity and sin. So we shouldn't be afraid to preach the gospel to other people, and we shouldn't be tolerant of strictly tolerant of other faiths getting in our spheres of influence, because this is not what the Bible teaches. So this is a weird story here. I'm not gonna get too far into it, but just want to know this is what's going on with the White House these days. And we have separate pictures, but we have like the pictures of the pastors, we have the pictures of Buddhists right here, but I believe it was all once a meeting. It's not too much. There's really too much here. It's Paula White here. She said something interesting. Paula White, she compared Trump to God. Listen to this.
Because one thing I said, I'll never do politics. But when it came down to it, it wasn't about doing politics. It was about an assignment to say no to President Trump would be saying no to God.
It was an assignment of saying no to President Trump or saying no to God. It's quite the leap of quite the jump right there, I must say. That's stunning. Something come from, not too shocking, come from Paul White, but it's just she has a knack for getting in the spirits of influences. So that's all we need to pray for Paul as well. Pray for everybody. But Brand reminds me of Matthew 24:24. For there shall rise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that it was possible they shall deceive the very elect. So it's coming. Christ is coming back soon, people, and we need to get ready for it. So that's it. Thanks for watching the episode today. Oh, and also forgot. Let's go back to Dia Moody. Let's go to Dia Moody right here. This is a quick little bit about what he's going through in his struggle. Here we go. Watch this real quick.
NTD's Daniel Monahan spoke with a Christian pastor who was recently arrested in Bristol city center.
Pastor Dia Moodley was arrested by Avon and Somerset police officers last November in Broadmead on suspicion of inciting religious hatred.
I'm not a politician, I'm not an activist, I'm a pastor, and I just want to be left alone in the United Kingdom to do what is lawfully allowed for us to do, peaceably, lawfully allowed to do, which is the preaching of the Bible, prayer in the public square, reading of the scriptures in the public square, and the proclamation of the gospel in the public square.
Moodley has now been arrested twice for just that. This time around, he says, for a comparison between religions.
One of the methodologies we use is we engage in a Q&A where we'll take questions from the public. And so people asked about our view of Islam, and we made it very clear factually what we believe Islam to be compared to Christianity. They took offense to that, and when the police arrived, they made their complaint, and the police then proceeded to arrest me without asking any question.
And there you have it. Dia Moodley, man himself, where he is preaching the gospel. Let's put that little last bit in there. But yeah, once again, thanks for watching. Hope you have a blessed day. Enjoy your week. Remember, God loves you. Christ died for you. So be made new, too.